Hey guys, this is Greg from Medical Muscle. And in this video, I want to talk about how to hit questions for step one. How do you hit questions for step one? Okay, well, you got Uworld. That's like everybody's favorite. Well, how do you use that? How do you use Uworld? So, first off, what I suggest, right after you're done with your last term, take an NBME self-assessment. Right when you're done with school, with the basic sciences, take a NBME. That way, you know where you're sitting with the material. You'll get to see your weak points, and you get to see what you need to work on and what you need to focus on for the rest of the whatever 4 to 8 weeks of study that you've decided to allocate to step study. Okay, so take one of those self-assessments. If you do shit, then you know that you need to work really hard. If you pass it on the first shot, if you get over that threshold, like our school had, you needed at least 80% chance to pass, and you're likely to pass, then you're fine. I was always over that, so I didn't have to worry like crazy. So use those standards. If you're over that, then you'll know how hard you need to kick ass for the next 4 to 8 weeks, however long you're choosing to study for a step. Okay, so you've taken one of those practice tests, you've assessed where you're at. Just as like a little side note, you want to make sure to get all your step permits and all that shit taken care of as soon as possible. That can take a lot longer than you will realize. There's always delays because there's tons of students like you that are trying to get their information in and take step at specific dates. So get your shit in early so you can get a good spot and a good location where you need to take that test. You don't want to be going to another state to take that test, okay? All right, so figure out how many weeks you need, okay? So because step one is pass fail, if you were an excellent student, you could probably get away with 4 weeks and pass. Use the NBMEs as your gauge, and 4.5 weeks, I think it's possible. It's possible. If you were kind of like an A to like high B student, you probably could take that long. If you weren't that great of a student, or say if you just want to be safe, that's being a little risky. I think 6 weeks is perfect. Up to 8 weeks. I think over 8 weeks, it's just not necessary. I feel like you start forgetting things. If you feel like you do need more time, then go ahead and do it. You just don't want it to affect your ability to get into clinical rotations. I think that is kind of like a gauge. But again, you do need to pass steps, so make sure to pass that. Don't give a shit what I say, how many weeks you need. Okay, if you need like 12 weeks or whatever, do it. So I think ideally, yes, anywhere between like 6 and 8 weeks is probably ideal, because that gives you enough time to go through a big chunk of Uworld without having to like kill yourself, but you're studying a pretty consistent amount. So what I did was I gave myself like 6-ish weeks. I ended up with like 7 because my permit took longer. So it's important to get that thing in. Take the number of Uworld questions that they have in the bank. It's like 3,000 something, 3,600. I don't know. It's going to probably change when you take it. Take that number, divide it by the number of days that you have until your exam, and then you know how many questions you need to do per day. Okay, so for me, it roughly came out to like 80 questions a day. Did I do that? Hell no. But it was a good gauge for me to know how many questions I would need to get done, right? Okay. And I had this whole plan, like getting that many questions done and having a little extra time to go through some wrong answers didn't happen. But I'm going to tell you why that's actually not necessary. So, I want to make this really clear because I get some questions on this and I feel like this is a really important point. Many people feel like they need to get through every single question in Uworld. and maybe go through Uworld a second time or maybe a third time. Uworld is pass fail. Okay, let's just talk about that. Uworld is pass fail. Okay. Do you need to kill it? Well, sure. I mean, it would probably help. But do you have to? No, it's pass fail. Okay. This could be the last time you get to enjoy your summer, because I'm going to tell you, clinicals are not the easiest. Actually, it's probably the hardest part to medical school. Yes, it is the hardest part of medical school. So yes, you do need to kill it, but you don't need to absolutely smash it, okay? Is it important to nail out a ton of questions? In my opinion, no. I feel like what's most important, the most important part, is that you understand the concepts. You understand the questions. You're getting them right. You're not, like, say if you miss a topic the first time, you do not miss it again. Most people fall into this trap that like I was saying, 80 questions a day. Most people fall in this trap where they're hitting 80 questions a day or more, 120 questions every single day. But they're blasting through them. They're not taking the time to understand the material. They're not taking the time to understand, like, if they got something right and it was just by chance, they're just like, oh, I'll move through. Yeah, I knew that. And it's easy to do that. You feel like, oh yeah, I was just smart and I knew that weird, obscure question. I'm one of those people that got that 25 or 30%. I'm so smart. No, you may not be so smart. You got it just lucky. And I would like you to take the time to look at that question and to understand how to answer that question correct again. Because what if they switch the wording? Are you going to be able to answer that again? Are you going to understand the concept? Okay. So that's why it's probably more important to understand the topics rather than blow through questions. Okay. Understand why, the why. All right. Wrong answers. Obviously make sure that you understand why you got something wrong, understand why the right answer is correct. Go through all the other answer choices and make sure you know how to answer those. Okay. Make sure you understand what those mean, what a STEM would look like for those to be right. So that you can have a good base of knowledge. When you're going into STEP, they're going to ask you just really hard, obscure things. And you got to have a good basic knowledge of medicine and science and stuff like that. So it's important that you cover all your bases. All right. So what if you get these really crazy questions? You're sitting there and you're like, oh my God, I don't understand this topic. And you start panicking. I want you to do something. Say you don't give a shit. Because honestly, it's okay if you miss questions. In reality, some of those crazy, weird biochemistry, like genetic testing questions, they're never going to show up on your exam, ever. They show up on Uworld because they're there to just kind of push your knowledge a little bit. Are they actually going to be on Uworld? No. There are going to be weird, obscure questions on STEP. I'm sorry. On STEP, there's going to be weird, obscure questions. Like on Uworld, can you predict those things? Nah. No, they're going to be crazy, crazy hard, and they're just going to find out the weirdest scientific people, those weird research people that understand that kind of concept. Should you study it? At a certain point, and I was talking with another student who's an excellent student, another honors student who wants to be a cardiologist. At a certain point, like, you don't have to study some of those things. If you get it wrong, it's not a huge deal, okay? Because most people are not going to get it right. And the chance that you see a question like that one on the exam, very slim, okay? All right, don't get dejected. I think at the beginning when you're doing questions on Uworld, there's a tendency to like feel bad because you're not getting these super high, like 80%. It's fine. Compare yourself to other students. So if the average on that block was 50 and you got 60%, that's great. If you got 70% and the average person only got 50, that is fantastic. So yes, you're only getting 70% right, but compared to the average person, you're doing really well, okay? So use that more as your gauge rather than the pure percentage, okay? Use it like the percentile. How are you stacking up against other students? And even if you're doing worse than the average student, don't let that slow you down. In the beginning, when I first started doing Uworld, I would do crappy. I would do worse than the average on like a block of 40 questions. And I would just not feel like studying it because I felt like I was so frustrated. I was so mad at myself. And that shit slowed me down. I want you guys to just understand that you're in the beginning. Like, say, most of this kind of realization comes in the beginning of taking Uworld. Okay, if you're in the beginning of Uworld and you're missing a bunch of questions, just know that you haven't had enough time to review all this stuff. The more you keep pushing through the questions, the higher your scores are going to go, because you're going to start seeing patterns in what you need to know and how Uworld likes to ask questions. So keep pushing forward, because it will stick at some point. If you don't keep moving forward, then you're going to do shitty. If you keep moving forward, you're going to do excellent, okay? So don't feel bad. All right. So is it important to go through old questions? I feel like that's a complete waste of time. I'm going to tell you why. I thought in 5 weeks I would forget certain questions. When I started going back through some old questions, I realized not important because you can actually memorize some of those questions. So you're technically cheating. So when you do those questions, you get them right, your score goes up, your percentile goes up, but in reality, you didn't really understand that topic. You just clicked the right answer because you've seen it before, or you got it wrong and you knew how to answer the right question. Not because you knew how to answer the right question, you just knew what it was and you could identify it. All right? That kind of thing will not happen on SEP. You're not gonna get you're not gonna get questions that are exactly written like what you see on Uworld. So you won't be able to do that bullshit, okay? So it's really a false sense of confidence. What I think is the best is to get, and I've heard this from other YouTubers, and I totally agree, you want to keep exposing yourself to unique questions, different ways of seeing the same topic. That's how you're seeing, and you'll notice there's certain topics that Uworld and even other question banks, there's certain topics that are more popular. You have to see them for yourself. I can't explain it. It's like a feeling. But you will only get good at answering those kind of questions when you see it asked in a different variety. Just going back over old stuff that you already kind of know, it's useless. Honestly, it doesn't push your brain very much. And it's not prepping you for when you get into STEP and you see something completely different that you've never seen on any of the Uworld and all the other question banks, right? Okay? So unique questions, okay? Training your brain to know how to answer a certain topic in any direction, okay? All right, so the NBMEs, I took 5 NBMEs before I took STEP. They said I was not only gonna pass, but I was gonna pass much higher than I needed to. I was over the threshold to pass, much higher than I needed to. And every single NBME that I took from the very beginning of my STEP study all the way to the end. And I was gradually improving. So that was my experience. 5 was great. I think that's a good number of self-assessments. You can break that up in other self-assessments. NBMEs are great though, because they're timed. You get exposed to more questions than you do in Uworld, and they're different style. So I think that's good. You get used to seeing a different kind of testing companies, what they find is important, and it does help you, right? So yeah, use those NBMEs to assess how you're gonna do. Also use those NBMEs to review different questions, right, than what Uworld will give you. And if you're not getting over that threshold, it's very important for you to delay your exam. Honestly, don't push forward and try to just take it. You want to make sure that you pass this beast of an exam on the first shot. So taking your NDMEs, if you're passing, then you're set to kill it instead. All right, guys, so I know that's a big rant and a lot of things, but I hope that I maybe highlighted some things that helped me and what I noticed with other students. So best of luck on all the stuff that you guys are doing. Kick some booty.